All right, good evening. I'll open up the Finance Committee meeting of April 17th. 6:03 or 4 p.m. Attendance is done. Any public participation? None in the room. Any online, Steve?
No, nobody's online with their hand up, Mr. Chairman.
Public participation. Thank you. Continues our streak. So the
Recommended.
agenda as laid out would be the forecasting subcommittee report, which I think we had minutes on, Steve, but we'll do those later. And I know Dan is trying to log in.
That thing succeed.
Okay, I can bring it up, Steve, Dan, if you want. I have,
You get to log in first.
it was 4:09, right? Was the last one you did, Dan?
Yes.
I've got to,
You need to log into the meeting room.
log into the meeting.
Yeah.
You can go to the website and all that.
Yes.
Let's see, Town of Wakefield.
Here we go. I just found the meeting ID. I'm making some progress. Slowly.
No, it's ready.
While you guys are doing that, do you want to hit maybe an easy budget like vocational school and Medicare, or do you want to wait? It's up to you.
Let's give it 30 seconds.
Okay.
I'm running forward now, 2 steps ahead of Dan. Look at me.
Recording in progress.
Shut off your sound. Sound is
You get hired back as tech support.
It's my plan.
Like how?
It's my plan to solve.
This afterward.
Dan, you all right? You want me to,
Go ahead. No, I'm.
Okay.
Cause it's brand new, I have to load Zoom, which is doing now, so
okay,
it'll be another 30 seconds or so.
right, so Steve, if you want to, want me to share.
You got it. I had a horrible time, Sharon. In my meeting. It's better than I did.
We do.
It's better than I did.
Okay, I cannot see that, so. Okay, so the forecasting subcommittee, which I'm not on, but I sat in on the meeting. Others in the room are. I just highlighted FY 26, if that's where you want to start, Dan, or whatever you'd like to do.
Yeah, so the 1 point, if you scroll down, you'll see that our deficit this year is 1.7 million. Based on all the budgets we've got. My number after discussion with the group. Oh, it looks like I'm in. It didn't take long, did it? That's me.
Recording in progress.
Now I gotta mute this thing. Okay. We got an echo. There. So Kevin has got a figure of 2.5 or 2.3 million higher than I do on the income side. So he's actually showing a deficit of close to $4 million. But as we've seen in the past, and my numbers have been coming out better. I actually did a look back of like the last 10 years to see how my estimation came through. And there's years I'm really high, there's years that come in, but if you just average it out, it's not too bad. And for those that, I mean, I sent this to Doug Butler because he really questioned my ability to forecast local receipts. I said, year to year, I'm off, but over a time horizon, I'm pretty close. So we're deficit 1.7 million. Kevin will show roughly 4 million that has to come from free cash. So that's, one big issue. You'll notice that there's other income, special DE, 1.2 million. Those are funds that we are going to receive that totally unexpected. overlay account was 300,000, Steve, how much?
500.
500.
The 500?
Yeah.
And then actually some of the details, that's 500, and there's a few other things that are coming in. So that actually helped us out, the 1.276 million in terms of the free cash. But it also distorted a little bit, the increase in income at, 5.8%. But, and the free cash at 1.1 million, distorts a little bit. So our actual income number is really more like 3.8 million, or 3.8%.
For 25,
That would,
for 25 or 26?
for 25.
Yeah.
25.
Yeah, that's for 25. For 26, you can see our income expectation is going up just 3.2%. We did get a little bit of good news at the State House. House is gonna give us 176,000 more.
Yeah.
So
176, 911 more.
But the Senate hasn't come out with a budget yet. The governor's budget is, the lower one, which is what we have here. State receipts of 14,121 is the governor's budget. I did not increase it for the 176,000 because it's got a ways to go. We really don't know what's gonna happen there.
I will say my sense is the Senate will come up high. We'll do better with after the Senate, but then after
Better than the House?
better than the House. My sense is the Senate will be more positive for us. But who knows what happens when they have the joint committee?
You think we'll get to 300 change? 170 now possibly?
Yeah, I think it's possible.
The other spot, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see on the free cash, what happens to free cash. So one of the things, yeah, it's up right there. You'll notice on the fiscal year 25 line, there's an entry of 5.251 million. Because we have a number of articles that you may have seen for this year that we'll take up this spring that are taking money out of free cash. We're spending it anyway, right? So I don't remember what the total was, but it was several million. And the total for the spend is gonna be 5.2, which includes some of the free cash we spent last fall.
Right.
This fall, some figure, and then this year, if you add up, actually, oh, you got the rate sheet printed off?
It's
We're gonna do the,
It's 650,000 at this town meeting for supplemental appropriations for basically the fire overtime. It's on the other one, Joe. And police and fire indem makes sense, 125,000. So those are 775 at the spring town meeting.
or for this year, plus
Year.
did last.
So we did last year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the 775 is really, I mean, it could have been part of this year's article. Rather than 25, it could have been 26. It doesn't make any difference. We're spending that money one way or the other. It's reducing our free cash. So if you say, geez, why didn't we just run it for 26? Then the 1,000,007 would have been another 700,000+ short, 2.4 million, and Kevin's number would have been closer to 4.5 million. So you also see on free cash that it drops in 28, 27, 28, 29, it goes negative. 33, it's a negative 23 million. And if you scroll down in terms of reserves, they're line 101, 102. You'll see for 26, we're gonna end up at 9.1%, less than our 10%. Then it drops to 7.45126, then we're have no reserves left. So based on where we are and the course of where things are going, we are deficit spending this year to tune, I'd say 2.4 million because of the free cash pull for 25. And it just gets worse. And one of the things we spent a bunch of time on in the forecasting committee were the assumptions. So if you want to go to results. And for 20, here you want to focus on 26. Those numbers don't mean anything because I put the real numbers in for 26. So starting at 27, what I've got is 4% increases for most of the, general, fire and police, see the library. And the schools I'm putting in at 5%. It's clear that they're not able to, keep their budget down. They're getting a larger and larger piece of that budget. And, I'm just putting 5% after our discussion because they just can't control what's going on.
And just so everybody knows, so this tab is what increases the numbers in the previous tab, meaning for 27, these are the changes. So from 26 to 27, the general goes up 4%.
Right.
26 to 27, the schools go up 5%, which results in that summation at the bottom, how much free cash we don't have, what the volume is that we may or may not have. So that's what this sheet is doing. This is the growth.
The growth numbers. So if you look down further, Medicare and the medical is 4% for Medicare, 7% for medical insurance. We had, in the health insurance area, Don, please chime in. We're looking at a significant increase for 26 already. We expect a big increase for 27, and then things sort of level off. We have something a little more reasonable. But for the health insurance, we think we're gonna get, pretty much hammered for 27 and 20, and then drop off. Fingers crossed on that. Stabilization, I'm still trying to put some money in stabilization. This year we have a 0. Fortunately, we got nothing for that. And then on receipts, you scroll down a little further. New growth, growing at 4% after 26. And, yeah, and then light department's only giving us 1.5%, but their agreement runs out this year, I believe.
Fiscal year 27, it does.
Yeah, so
Yeah, next year.
27. Yeah, going to 28, I'm hoping for at least 3% increase from the light department.
Yeah, we may have to form a small subcommittee and pay them a visit.
Sign me up.
Question, is the refuse contract, is that a 1-year contract?
Which one?
Refuse, we had no increase this year.
No, that is a multi-year contract. It is nice to have no increase this year.
So,
Yeah.
so we've got 3% in there for 27, is it going up 3% or is it? flat?
A lot of it's gonna be
Yeah.
based on usage, tonnage and things like that, so I think that's prudent to keep that in there, but there'll be a small increase each year for the service, but it's a really good contract, and Joe did a great job with that.
So my bottom line is we're on the wrong track. Here, deficit spending this year is gonna get worse going forward. We don't have any immediate bondings that will be effective when they, the rating agencies see these numbers and see where we're at. We can sneak through in the high school, probably get through in the pumper and not risk our rating for those bonds. But after that, I'm really concerned because we're cutting OPEB down. We used to be 1.6 million going to OPEB, then it got down to 1.4, and it's 1 million. This year it's 1 million, and then what we have right now is 500,000 for OPEB. And I know that there are communities out there that have gone to 0 where they were contributing, and they're very much afraid that their rating is going to suffer because ours went up a lot because of our funding of OPEB, and it could go down. And now we're talking like, say, we lose 0.25% or 0.5% because we're no longer AAA. Now that's real money that goes out, goes to Wall Street and not to us. For OPEB, it's our money. We can hang on to it, but Wall Street money is gone. So we need to find some cuts in costs and some sources of income. That's the bottom line.
And can I ask you a question on the assumptions?
On the which?
On the assumption, the percentages. So just looking at like the categories on the percentages, it looks like on the out years, we're keeping it consistent with, say, FY 26.
But those are historical. I look at what we've been spending and all those, and also look at like our contracts for personnel.
Right.
The unions, if we give a 3% increase on COLA, it's not a 3% increase in payroll.
Right.
Usually at least 4.5 sometimes. It just depends on the other factors and so forth. So because much of our costs are driven by the top 5 items there are all driven by payroll, basically.
Right.
It's like 90% of their costs or 80%.
So I guess
I'm running those at 4.
where I just in kind of question is, not question you, just in general, where the schools are at 6% and most of their spend is personnel and labor contracts to cut to 5%, but no, some of the other categories aren't coming down either. So to make an assumption, the schools
Yeah,
are down 1%,
what-
but no one else is.
When the schools come up and present their budget to us, Jim and I are going to discuss what's going on with schools and they'll probably cover it as well. It's a little bit unique. And I'll just say that
Okay.
they're losing other revenue that's not tax levy.
Okay.
And as their costs are going to continue to go up, they have to make it up someplace. That basically is the bottom line.
Got it. Okay. Just
And-
wondering what was behind.
Yeah,
that.
but let's save that conversation when schools come up.
Steve, did they approve increases to local receipts? Was that, I thought I saw something. Was that in the governor's?
Oh, we got a little bit more on the latest, cherry sheet, but 176,000.
No,
Oh.
I mean the
The net,
motor taxes.
Oh,
The-
I don't think that has not gone through and approved yet.
the-
Whether we can increase excise tax locally or we can
Oh,
increase
Meals tax.
meals tax and hotel tax, yeah, that hasn't come through yet. But we would have to opt into that.
That was something that was presented.
Presented as part of the governor's budget, so it's gonna be discussed. Sorry,
Is it discretion of the town to opt in? Is there any other, it's just discussion?
maybe a vote of the town, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably, and a vote of town meeting, probably.
Any,
we'll go back to the main sheet.
sure. Anybody else from, you want to continue, Dan? I was gonna ask if others wanted to speak on it from the subcommittee.
I was gonna mention at the bottom of that, the OPEB trust, we're roughly at 30, a little bit lower. 38, lower, keep going down. Fund status. So we're in the high 30s on the OPEB trust, which is really good compared to our peers. It's really outstanding. So it is, these are good news there. If you scroll up to the costs. For a second, I was going to mention something about, keep going near the top. Here. So just down a slight. There's a percentage increase. So on our cost, we're going up about 4.7%. And our income is less than 4. So that's why we end up getting this gap, is we got a 4.7% increase in the cost. And then 4.6, 4.6, 4.5. So our costs are expected to go up more than our income by a significant amount. And that's why we end up with the deficits. So we got to cut costs, we got, or find more income. But that's the reason why is the 4.6 is just too high.
And then, so I've often said to myself, well, if we budget a deficit and run a deficit, how do we still have free cash? And the answer comes in a bunch of different places, one of them being funds returned by departments, additional investment income not forecasted. So for several years we started this budget, we finished this budget process with it going in as a deficit. And then money comes back to free cash and offsets some of that potential future spend. And so we keep doing this seesaw thing. We had a couple of really good years right here in yellow, which isn't too far ago. Some of that was investment income, some of that was healthcare.
Healthcare was a big nut, over $1 million in healthcare.
You know, we budgeted X and got a much lower spend, and so it was a substantial return. And so I know, because I sat in on the forecasting committee, it was, you know, Steve and the rest of the team feel some of those gold nuggets are no longer going to roll over for us.
Especially the healthcare. I mean, the healthcare, they expect a 13 or 14% increase in cost. So that $1 million we got a year ago, thing of the past.
Right. Right. And so we have projected here a change in 26 of 1.5. Right, so that would be money returned or other activities that I just,
And 2 million for this year.
and 2 million for this,
A lot of discussion about this year, what
goes out this year. And so, anyway, that rolls back into the free cash and gets us to these, this 13 and then this 9 and closing out potentially 26, 9.1 with a return of 1.5. It's the seesaw effect was much less comfortable of than I was prior years.
Yeah.
Questions from anybody? Anything you want to see?
8,000,370.
Steve?
I just want to add that, and that Kevin is online. He had a medical procedure today, so I don't know how he is.
Why would he be online?
Why he's on, because he is committed, right? So he's